video, I'm going to be talking about inflation. So, in particular, it's going to be talking about US inflation. So, basically, I've kind of been just wondering for years, like, is inflation, like the reported inflation, particularly the one that we see from the US, is it actually accurate? Like, is it actually, do we take this information by face value? Because, you know, it's all well and good for them to provide inflation statistics, but if you start to look it into, you know, prices for individual items, like in real life, or you look at like average consensus statistics of like menu items, you start to wonder, wait a minute, are they actually telling the truth with these inflation stats? One kind of report that kind of went viral was this $18 Big Mac. This was back in early June. This was, there's a tweet actually from 2023. So someone takes a picture of a Big Mac and it costs $18, which obviously is absurd, right? $18 Big Mac. Now, obviously, an $18 Big Mac is crazy, to pay that much money for a simple burger, is just ludicrous. It is a meal though, so you do also get a drink and possibly fries or salad with it as well. But yeah, it's still kind of crazy, to be honest. But restaurants do burgers for that type of price. It's just that those are usually the fancier restaurants. You don't see a McDonald's burger going for that price normally. However, it is clarified in this article that this is just the price of Big Mac in one location, which is obvious because you're not going to see that price everywhere. And it was, I think, in one of the most expensive cities, possibly. Well, not a city, sorry, but one of the most expensive like areas in the US. Like apparently the median household income was over 250K. So, obviously this is upper class wages here. But again, this is for a household. So this is usually I think this would expect 2 people with their wages added together. So obviously, like, people with an average household wage would be able to afford Big Macs at those prices. So this is not the average price. And then McDonald's kind of made a statement where they kind of clarified that this is just in one location, and they actually provided their own statistics of the Big Mac price. So they said that it was $4.39 in 2019, and then it rose 21% by 2024 to $5.29. So if I'm correct, based on an article, I think wages have increased 15% since 2021. I don't know the data since 2019, but if we assume that, let's see, so if we get the calculator out and we do 15 divided by 3, you get 5. So wages increase 5% on average a year, which seems to be higher than the average inflation rate, but inflation was as high as 10% in 2022. It's worth pointing out. But anyway, if we add add that to the 15%, we would get, I think, a 20% gain on average, and this is just a rough estimate. So a 25% gain on average of wage increase since 2019. Then basically we have to compare that to um, what McDonald's has said was 21% increase in prices. So that actually seems reasonable, and actually that means that our purchasing power has actually increased. But I don't think this is accurate. Like I said, that's just one menu item on McDonald's, comparing one price of the Big Mac on average. Like I said, we're never going to get like the full picture, but they're claiming that their average price of Big Mac is $4.39 in 2019, and now it's $5.29 in 2024. So obviously it varies by area. There's going to be some areas where a Big Mac or just McDonald's prices in general are more expensive than others. It really just depends on the median household income in the area you live in, and then obviously the shops around there will reflect that. So this is the issue, really. We don't really know. Like, you can't just prop up like a random picture of McDonald's 2019 menu prices and then look at one today, because again, like, they're different areas and they have different prices. So that's why it's extremely difficult. And McDonald's is the only one that really have this data, unless like an external data analyst that is monitoring McDonald's carefully tracks them and has differing data to what McDonald's is putting out here. The site author from Seeking Alpha has provided different statistics though. He's claiming that the average price increase so in fact he's actually claiming the average price of the Big Mac was cheaper than the one that McDonald's is claiming, $3.99 versus the $4.39 reported by McDonald's. So that's quite close. But basically they're saying that the $7.49 is the average Big Mac price, whereas McDonald's is saying it's $5.49, which is a whole $2 less expensive. Now, I mean, let me see. Average. Don't know if we can find this on Google, or if we can ask ChatGPT. Let's see if, or Copilot. Let's see, average Big Mac price 2024 in the USA. Let's just see if the Copilot, has an answer. And if not, we can ask ChatGPT. What? The average price of a Big Mac meal in the USA is... No, I need just the Big Mac, not the meal. That's also another thing as well. When you look at these statistics, sometimes they're comparing the meal and not just the regular Big Mac. The meal obviously adds on items to make it more expensive. So just the burger, not the meal. Although it seems like it would be $7.49 if you take away the extra items like the fries and the drink. But let me just see what they say. Oh, $5.69. And then what's McDonald's reporting? Again, let me just check. $5.29. A bit higher than what they say. Let me see if ChatGPT has a different answer. So I need to make a new one. Not that. There we go. Okay, $5.69 according to Statista. Okay, is there a differing data source? No, it still says $5.69, and then in certain areas there's obviously variables. Okay. Um. All right. So, based on this, are we sure it's 7:49? When's the article published? May 29th, 2024. Where did he get this from? Zero Hedge. Let's try the 10 McNuggets at the price of 10 McNuggets. Because obviously if we look at the US inflation, so if we look at it over a 3-year period, it's hard to say, but you'd have to, I think how it would work, you have to calculate the average annual inflation rates for the past 3 years and then add them all together for 3 years, and then you would get the overall inflation. But it also depends on, like, you'd obviously have to use the regular inflation rate because the core inflation rate doesn't include energy and food prices, if I'm not mistaken. Let me see, average price of 10 nuggets is $5.69. It's the same as the Big Mac. Highest 7.49, so that's literally the upper band of what this article was claiming. So do you think this is exaggerated? Because if this is exaggerated, this is complete misinformation. I actually liked this article just because I wanted to get this up. I'm not convinced the cheeseburger is that expensive, but let's see. Let's see here. $2.79. Okay, so obviously, like, I've got this app called percentage calculator, which is quite useful. So we can use $1. Yeah, the $1 cheeseburger was quite a popular term, wasn't it? 179% increase. That is a lot. Okay, so the cheeseburger has inflated a lot. The other menu items is not as bad, but the cheeseburger is a whole different animal. 179% increase. Yeah, so you can see here, obviously, the cheeseburger still inflated a lot, and obviously when the price starts to increase by over 100%, that is definitely overtaking inflation, particularly wage inflation, because when the wages inflate, obviously it's to compensate for higher prices, so that the consumer purchasing power can remain level. But of course, that is eroded if the cheeseburger increases that much. That's just a cheeseburger. Like, we've checked with the McNuggets and the Big Mac, and obviously ChatGPT has brought up links stating that they're around the mid $5 mark, which is nowhere near as bad as what this article's claiming. And also, this article still exaggerates the cheeseburger price, but it's still a high increase regardless. And this is just McDonald's, like, it's not looking at the other menu items, which don't have as high of inflation, just off of quick observation. I guess we can check the McChicken sandwich, let's see. And again, actually, I just forgot about this. If this is inflated, this might also be inflated. I forgot about that. Although I don't know if, like, to be honest, a cheeseburger at $1 doesn't seem inflated to me, because, you know, I wouldn't expect a cheeseburger to go for less than $1. So I think that might be accurate. There is a possibility though that, well, actually they don't seem inflated. McChicken sandwich at 120. Well, it actually just says McChicken, so it's not a sandwich actually. They're distinct. But these seem like accurate. I mean, to me, based on casual observation, the end of 2019 prices seem reasonable, and the mid 2024 ones might be exaggerated. Anyway, let's see. $3.99 was the average price of a chicken sandwich. Okay, that seems to be in line, and that's 200%. Okay, let's see. This is the UK. What's this for a Twitter link or what? This is a Reddit link. Wait, when was this posted? 5 years ago. This is the UK price. I think Mayo Chicken and McChicken are the same. Hold on. Again, this is just McDonald's. This is not taking... Because the thing is, right, one thing that you have to take into account, right, is McDonald's are not just pricing their menu up because of inflation. They may not admit this, but obviously they have to also increase their prices because the employee wages are going to increase. Well, they've not actually increased a whole lot, to be honest. The employee wages seem to be quite consistent. So based on this, it seems like they try to keep their employee wages less than 2.5 billion. And obviously the higher up expenses as well, not just like regular employees. Obviously, I mean like the owners and stuff. But you know what I was gonna say, like, okay, so they're not increasing employee wages. So obviously McDonald's might complain, well, not McDonald's, sorry, people might complain that McDonald's aren't paying their employees enough as well, which is something that is, it's like a double-edged sword. But here's the thing, like, when McDonald's but what they do is, obviously McDonald's, to be honest, McDonald's have not increased much in revenue in the past 6 years. They've not really increased their sales a lot. Well, actually, sales and revenue might be a bit different, because obviously if you increase the menu price, then the revenue should be higher, right? Because things are more expensive. But I feel like the actual like amount of people buying the McDonald's is less, despite the price increases. So that might be the issue. Again, I'd have to look more into it. I'd have to look into the actual statement. Now that might have to be a whole different video. But like in general, like you see a lot of modernization, digitization, a lot of these companies, and that costs money. You know, they don't have R&D expenses on here. Maybe it might fall under other operating expenses, I'm not quite sure, but they've obviously invested money in putting those kind of kiosks in the stores, and those screens up there that bring up the numbers of order numbers from customers, developing their digital app, that needs designers, you know, all of that extra technological stuff that McDonald's have introduced, to tap into this modernized economy costs money, right? And it's money that, that they have to either use their free cash flow to invest in those developments, or they have to borrow, and ultimately, increasing menu prices beyond inflation, would be their strategy in improving their profitability so they can cover these expenses. Like, even if you look at McDonald's balance sheet, it looks bad on paper, right? Because, they've got a crazy amount of debt. They've got 50 billion in debt, and they've only got 4.5 billion in cash. Makes you wonder, how the hell do they even pay this off? But the way they pay it off is because this is long-term debt. Like, they don't have to pay this off like immediately. Like, they have to look at the current debt, and they only have to pay 2.8 billion in the short term. Obviously they've got receivables as well, so that adds on to their cash in the short term, but again, still nowhere near the 50 billion debt that they've got. I don't know how they manage their debt, to be honest, but I would imagine that what they do is that they continually get debt over the years, but because of how long they've got to pay it, they don't have to worry about paying all of that lump sum in the short term, so it never really comes back to bite them. But again, I'd have to look more into it, and this is all a learning process essentially, and I've been kind of looking into it. Obviously McDonald's is just one restaurant, but there are other ones as well. But based on what we can see from the McChicken and the Cheeseburger, those two menu items have inflated beyond the reported inflation rates. So as a result, we can see when you've got wage inflation increasing 25% and these menu items increasing by 200%, McDonald's obviously has done something here that is unreasonable, you could say. But it would be interesting to look into the cases of gas prices as well, and also insurance prices. Someone mentioned in the comments for this article that I think insurance had increased 20%, which is quite a lot. I don't know what time period it was. Let me just see. Just last year. And obviously inflation didn't increase 21% last year. It was I think the average inflation in 2023 was like 5 or 6%. Let me see. Average. .1%, okay. Obviously, yeah, that insurance price is ridiculous. Some other stats as well that were brought up. Since January 2021, eggs have increased 49%, gas 47%, airfare 32%. Like, yeah, like this is higher to me than the actual inflation that's been reported by the Fed. So if this obviously the Kobesi letter, if that's true, then Milk and cloves seem to be in line, but yeah, the top five, the six are a bit higher than usual, I think. But again, like I think anything higher than 30% is catastrophic to me. But yeah, but hopefully that was helpful. I might make some more videos about this inflation situation because it is obviously quite complex, but it's very important to understand. So yeah, stay tuned.